Okay, guys, second lesson for the week is 9.4 composition of isometries. Okay, and we're going to learn some tricks to find compositions of isometries, including glide reflections, blah, blah, blah. Two words that we want to know about is isometry and glide reflection. The term isometry means same distance. Okay, and isometry is a transformation that preserves distance or length. So translations, reflections, and rotations are isometries. The distance doesn't change, okay? Lengths of the sides don't change. They stay the same. Composition of two or more isometries is an isometry. We're going to see that if we combine these guys, two of them, we preserve distance and length. We're going to see that. And we're going to do some practice with that. Translation just takes R and it pushes it down here. Rotation rotates it. Rotates it. What I'm doing with my hand is taking it and I'm saying it rotates it, okay? Reflection just takes it here and it flips it over here. Turns it over, okay? Turns it over. And a glide reflection, we're going to glide it, we're going to translate it, and then we're going to reflect it, okay? That's a glide reflection. A composition of reflections across two parallel lines is a translation. So what we're going to talk about here, and I'm going to show you in a minute with this example down here, J, is if I take triangle ABC and these two lines, L and M, are parallel, if they are parallel, if I take that triangle and I reflect it across L to get A prime, B prime, C prime, you can see from what we've been doing, this is a reflection. Don't even look at that yet. That is the reflection of that across this line. Now, take your first image, and it becomes a pre-image and reflect it over this line. Okay, and you can see that it's just been reflected. But now look at these two that I'm pointing at. They are oriented the same. See, A's here, B's here, B's here, C's here, C's here. It turned into a translation. So what this whole rule says, theorem 9.2, is that if I reflect something across two lines, okay, two parallel lines, then it's the same as a translation, okay? It's the same as a translation. All right, so this is the way to write it. I kind of stumbled on my words there for a minute. So this is saying reflected over M, reflected over L, triangle ABC, reflect it. Well, the way this works is I'm going to take triangle ABC and first reflect it over L, okay, L, and then M. I like, personally, from my rule writing, I like to write it like this if I am asked to write the rule, because this tells me first I'm going to, because I always work inside out. I'm going to take triangle ABC and I'm going to reflect it over L. Then I'm going to take that reflection and I'm going to reflect it over M. That's what that says to me. Last comment before we go on and practice. This is saying here that the distance from this A to this A, the line that connects them, the segment that connects them, is perpendicular to both of these lines. And the line segment that connects these 2 points is perpendicular to those. So just like these two, the lines connecting the pre-image and the image points, that line segment is perpendicular, then this line segment is perpendicular to both. Okay, now, here I am, home learning, distance learning, all my stuff's at school, and I really wanted patty paper for this exercise. I didn't have patty paper, so I went to the cupboard and I got wax paper and I cut it. And it smeared a little bit, but that's okay. This is much easier to work with for me to demonstrate. I'm going to take J and I'm going to reflect it over L. Then I'm going to take J and I'm going to reflect it over M, and you're going to see that it's a translation. Okay? There aren't any coordinates for me to put down here or anything. One thing I would like to point out is I said up there a moment ago, I don't like this rule writing method here. It's not intuitive to me. It doesn't come naturally to me that I'm supposed to do L first and then M. But this is more intuitive to me, okay? This is an L, by the way. J. Okay, so now writing it this way, and if you want, you can put parentheses around the outside. You don't need to. You don't need all those parentheses. But this is telling me take J and reflect it over L, then whatever you get, reflect it over M. That's how that reads. Now, how is this easier, Mr. Sterling? Well, if you look, it's smeared on me a little bit, but I can see it really well. I use a Sharpie, and by the way, if you use wax paper at home to do this kind of stuff, like if you're doing your Math Excel and you want to do this to get the answer easier, I would recommend a Sharpie with a fine tip. My next example, I used the fine tip and it was much better. But watch how I'm going to use this. Pardon me. I am going to flip this over that line. Now watch how I do it. I'm going to take my paper, okay, and I'm going to fold it over, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to fold this wax paper so that it folds right on the black Sharpie line that I made. Okay, and that's pretty good. I might not be perfect, but that's pretty darn good. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another Sharpie and I'm just going to trace the J. Okay, now if you look at it and you lay it back down, do you notice that it looks like it's been reflected? It's been reflected. You see that? Ha! Pretty slick, huh? All right. We did not do a lot of patty paper work in class this year. I used to use it all the time. This is when it's really useful. So now I'm going to flip this over here. I'm going to do this one in blue and watch what you get when I do the next reflection. So I'm going to take it. I hold it like this between my middle finger, my index finger, and my thumb, and then I just pinch it to get it to, and I roll the stuff, so that I can get it perfect. I like that. I like that a lot. Now, I just take a blue mark Sharpie and I mark my J. Now when I flip it over, what you can see is that I've done two reflections. I've reflected the original J. Let me get it on there. I've reflected this original J over L, and then I reflected it over M. And if you look at these two that I'm pointing at with my index and my pinky, they're in the same position, orientation. It is just a translation. It has just become a translation. I moved it from here to there, okay? All right. Okay, that's it. Pretty simple, actually, if you stop and think about it. Okay, let's flip it over and go to the next page. Way to have fun. No. Okay, so reflections across intersecting lines. A composition of reflections across two intersecting lines is the same as a rotation. Okay, so if I reflect an object over two intersecting lines, line M and line L are intersecting, then it's the same as a rotation. Okay, so it's like you took this guy and you just rotated him. Okay, so I'm going to rotate it first about line L. So here's my pre-image. This is my second image. This is image double prime. Okay. Now what this is saying is I'm going to rotate it about L and then rotate it about M, and it's going to give me triangle A double prime, B double prime, C double prime. So these are called double primes. Okay. So we're going to do this guy. And we're going to do the same thing we did a minute ago. And look, I have more wax paper. And as you can see, I used a fine tip Sharpie, and it's a lot easier. So all I'm going to do, and I want you to just see that I'm lining it up so you see, my 70 and my C aren't exactly right. Oh, I forgot L and M. Let me fix that. L M. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my J, and I'm going to flip it over that line. Okay, I'm going to reflect it over L, then I'm going to reflect it over M, and it's going to be the same as a rotation. The first one is not going to look like a rotation. I'm just going to tell you it's going to look like a reflection. But again, the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to take and I'm going to get this so I can fold it right on that line. And I did. Okay. So I'm going to use red. I'll use blue this time. And then, no, I'll use black since I have blue already. Okay, you can see what I'm doing. All right, you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to make my J. I kind of made too much of a J there, but that's all right. That's all right. Now, you can see that I have reflected it. Okay, see how it loops up too much? I got carried away with my J. But I've reflected it, okay? And I think you'll agree that they look like they're equidistant from the line, all that good stuff. Now I'm going to reflect it over here, and it's going to look like it just rolled around point C. So let's do one more. Now, let's see what we got. So if I put everything back to where it is, it looks like this thing has just spun around point C. It has just rotated. Okay? It doesn't look like this J. It's not supposed to because it's rotated around. It's rotated around point C. It started here and it went this way. Okay? So it makes sense that the top is down here now because that's 180 degrees out of phase. Okay? All right. Well, no, it's not. 140. I misspoke. How do I know it's 140? Because I went 70 and 70 again. Okay? By the way, this is given as 70 degrees. Okay? So now I know that was 140 degree rotation. Okay, glide reflection. It's a bummer we're not in class because this is when we get to do our tessellations at the end of the year, which are always fun, and I'm so sorry you don't get to do them. But a glide reflection, okay? So glide reflection. Glide is the translation piece, okay? Translate. And then this is reflect, okay? Just so you know. Reflect, not a T. Reflect, okay? So here's what it means. In this procedure right here, this footprint, okay, it was translated first, and then it was flipped, okay? And so I don't know if you can see this or not, but you see how this is the big fat part of the pad? Look at where the fat part is over here. It's farthest from this line and it's farthest from this line. So it was just flipped. The paw print was like this, slid down and then flipped. Okay? That's a glide reflection. So in Math Excel homework, you might be asked to do one or two. Coordinate geometry. What is finding a glide reflection image? We're going to take triangle TEX, T-E-X, and we're going to glide it. This is the translation. And then we're going to reflect it. Okay, so we're going to do this first. And if you look at this translation, it's not going any direction left or right. It's not moving left or right, but it's moving down 5 units. 5 units. So if I'm going to move this down 5 units, I'm going to go like this. Take this one and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I'm going to take this one. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to take this one and I'm going to count down. Uh-oh. Sorry. My bad. My bad. I see a mistake I'm making right now. And the mistake I am making right now is that this is 5, and this is 3, and this is -1. and this is -1, and this is -3, and this is -5. I got to pay attention to scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When I made this, I didn't make it well enough. Okay, so let me do this again. I'm going to count down 5, and this is 2. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to place it right there. So from 2 to -3 is 5. Yes. So this is T prime. Now I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, from 1 to -4, yeah, that's 5. Okay, E prime. This one is at 3, so it's going to come down 3, and then it's going to go 2 more. It's going to go right here. And this is E. Oh, this is E. This is X. I'm really sorry for the mess ups I'm making. I'm not sure what's going on here. E prime. So if I want to get nice and clean, I'm going to take this guy. I'm going to draw that one in. I'm going to draw that one in. And I'm going to draw this one in. So I think you will all agree with me that I just took this and I translated it. I pushed it down. Okay, now we're going to, so this one's done. Now we're going to reflect it. And it says reflect across the line x equals 0. This is x equals 0 right here. Okay, the y-axis is x equals 0. Well, if I'm going to reflect that, then here's all I'm going to do. I'm going to go like this. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to go out to 5. Now I'm going to reflect it. And that's going to be T double prime. This guy I'm going to count 1, 2, and I'm going to count 1, 2. So it's at -2, and now it's at 2. It's right here. And this is X double prime. And this one I'm going to count over 1, and I'm going to count over 1, and I'm going to have E prime. Okay? Now I can connect these two. I can connect these two. Okay, so I glided it, I translated it, then I reflected it. That is a glide reflection. All right, guys, homework number 2 is on 9.4 in Math Excel. See you on Wednesday.